But to protect your spirit, there are words that carry poison. There are phrases that come from lips soaked in corruption. Evil people love to manipulate, they love to confuse, and their words are their weapons. But you are not defenseless. When God is with you, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not even the hidden ones, the spoken ones, the ones that come in the form of flattery or false comfort. Hear me today. Evil people always say the same things. They may change their tone, they may switch their faces, but their hearts remain the same. And if you pay attention, you will hear the spirit behind the speech. One of the favorite phrases of an evil person is this: "I didn't mean to hurt you." Oh, how often that phrase is spoken with tears that are not real. Evil uses that phrase like a dagger dipped in honey. They hurt you intentionally, they damage your spirit, they betray your trust, and then they come with the same tired words, trying to clean up their mess with insincerity. But God is not mocked. The same lips that say, "I didn't mean to," are the same lips that whispered behind your back, the same lips that manipulated your emotions. Evil does not change with words, it only changes with truth and repentance. And when that is absent, the apology is a lie. Another phrase evil people love to speak is, "You're overreacting." That one is a killer. That one is used to silence you, to make you doubt your own discernment. They stab you, then tell you that your pain is your own fault. They disrespect you, then question your emotions. But God gave you discernment for a reason. God put that discomfort in your soul for a reason. Don't ignore it. When someone repeatedly makes you feel small, when someone always makes you question yourself while never examining themselves, they are not from God. They are operating in a spirit of deceit, and you must protect your peace from such voices. Evil also loves to say you're too sensitive. They weaponize your compassion. They take advantage of your forgiving heart. They twist your kindness into a weakness. But God says your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a gift. God gave you that heart so you could discern right from wrong. So don't let anyone shame you for having a heart that feels deeply. Evil people want you numb. They want you confused. They want you silent. But God is waking you up. You will no longer accept their words as truth. You will see the spirit behind them. You will walk in strength and clarity because God is opening your eyes. And listen to another one. It's all in your head. That's the anthem of manipulation. That's what evil says when it wants to dismiss the damage it has done. It's what it says when it doesn't want to take responsibility. But God is a God of truth. And truth reveals. Truth doesn't hide behind gaslighting. Truth doesn't run from accountability. Truth faces the mirror and changes. But evil never wants to look in the mirror. Evil hides in shadows. And it wants you to doubt your own reality. But God is shining His light on every lie. God is making you bold again. God is showing you who is real and who is fake. Then there is the phrase, "You made me do it." Oh, the devil dances on that one. It is the anthem of abusers, the chant of the cruel. They do wrong but blame you for it. They hurt you, then accuse you of provoking it. That is not from God, that is manipulation. That is evil covered in false innocence. But you are not blind anymore. God is opening your spirit to recognize this evil when it speaks. When someone cannot take responsibility, when someone always blames you for their own darkness, they are not walking with God. And you must stop allowing them to pull you into their pit. And how about this one? "No one else has a problem with me, only you." That's isolation. That's how evil tries to make you question yourself, as if you're the problem. But God didn't call you to agree with everyone. God called you to stand for what is right. And sometimes that means standing alone Don't let evil isolate you. Don't let wickedness convince you that your boundaries are wrong. When you set a boundary and someone tries to break it by making you feel like you're crazy, that's not love. That's control. And control is a tool of evil. But your spirit belongs to God, and you are not controlled by anyone but Him. Another dangerous phrase they use is, "You're not perfect either." That's deflection. That's not repentance. That's the voice of someone who refuses to grow. Evil people never want to talk about their actions. They want to change the subject. They want to bring up your past to avoid confronting theirs. But God doesn't operate in confusion. God is a God of order. And when you confront a wrong, you are not attacking, you are protecting. You are speaking truth. Don't let anyone silence your truth because they're uncomfortable. Evil people hate accountability. But God loves the one who walks in integrity. Evil people also love to say, "I said I was sorry. What more do you want?" You see, a real apology comes with change. A real apology comes with brokenness, not attitude. But evil says sorry like it's a password to get back in. No change, no humility, just entitlement. But you don't owe anyone access to your life who has not earned your trust. God does not require you to be a doormat in the name of forgiveness. Yes, you forgive. Yes, you release the bitterness. But that doesn't mean you let a snake back into your garden. God gave you that garden to protect, keep it holy. And there's this one. You'll never find someone like me. That one is rooted in arrogance. That's the voice of someone who thinks they are your blessing when in reality they are your test. Evil people think they are irreplaceable, but God is your only source. God is the one who provides, protects, and promotes. No one is your Savior but God. So when someone speaks as if they are your lifeline, your only chance at love, at friendship, at success, run. That is not humility. That is control. That is pride dressed in charm. But God lifts the humble and brings down the proud. You don't need what harms you. You need what grows you. Evil also says you've changed. Yes, you have, and thank God for it. But when an evil person says that, they don't mean it as a compliment. They say it because you no longer tolerate their manipulation. They say it because you no longer bow to their control. They say it because the old version of you, the one they could deceive, is gone. God has matured you. God has opened your eyes. You have evolved, and now your presence convicts them. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your boundaries challenge their entitlement. Don't shrink back. God is moving you forward, and the people who can't come with you will always call your growth a problem. Another favorite phrase, "If you really cared, you would." That's emotional blackmail. That's guilt. That's not love. Real love doesn't force, doesn't guilt trip, doesn't manipulate. Real love speaks truth, respects space, honors your soul. But evil tries to twist your emotions, tries to get what it wants by making you feel like you're failing. But you are not failing, you are growing. You are learning to discern. You are learning to walk with God in wisdom. You're not led by guilt. You're led by God. And when God leads, He leads in peace, not pressure. Let me tell you something else. Evil people always talk about loyalty, but only when it benefits them. You're not loyal, they say, when you confront their lies. You betrayed me, they say, when you finally set a boundary. But loyalty to evil is disloyalty to God. God did not call you to serve manipulation. God did not create you to be abused. God created you to walk in truth. And sometimes walking in truth means walking away from those who refuse to repent. It's not disloyalty, it's deliverance. And God honors those who honor truth. My dear listener, I tell you this not to make you bitter, but to make you wiser. because evil hides in speech. Evil knows how to twist. Evil knows how to talk. But when your spirit is tuned to God, you will hear what others miss. You will see the snake under the smile. You will hear the manipulation behind the apology. You will feel the unease in your soul, and that unease is the holy warning of God. Don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it. Don't spiritualize dysfunction. When God gives you discernment, it's not to judge, it's to protect. Protect your peace. Protect your heart. Protect your purpose. And if you've been hurt by these kinds of voices, let me tell you something beautiful. God saw it all. Every lie, every twist, every time they made you feel crazy for speaking the truth, God recorded it, and God will restore, God will vindicate, God will elevate you in due time. The very ones who tried to destroy your character will one day have to watch God honor you, but you must stay faithful. Don't become like them. Don't speak their words. Don't carry their bitterness. Keep your heart pure. Keep your words holy. Let God fight your battles. Let God silence their lies. Let God be your defender. You don't have to explain yourself to people who twist your words. You don't have to argue with people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have to bend over backward to prove your purity to the impure. You are not here to please man. You are here to honor God. And when you walk in truth, you may lose some people, but you will gain the peace of God. You will gain clarity. You will gain strength. And most of all, you will gain the favor that only God can give. And now, beloved, let your soul lean in even closer, for what I'm about to say is for those who are tired of being used, tired of being misunderstood, tired of carrying wounds inflicted by silver-tongued manipulators. But I declare to you today, in the name of the Almighty, the one who sees all, who hears the silent cries of your heart, your pain has not gone unnoticed by God. Your sleepless nights, your trembling hands, your moments of self-doubt, they were never wasted. God saw when they laughed behind your back. God heard the words they used to turn others against you. And now, God is raising you up, not to fight them with flesh, but to overcome them in spirit. Let me tell you, when God is working in your life, the enemy becomes loud, not just in actions, but in words. And sometimes the enemy comes through people who were once close, through the voice of someone you trusted, the hand you held, the soul you stood beside. That's why discernment is more important now than ever. You must train your ears not only to hear words, but to weigh them in the spirit of truth. Because words are not just noise, they are seeds. And if evil can plant the wrong words into your heart, it can grow confusion, self-doubt, fear, and spiritual paralysis. But when your soul is anchored in God, every lie will wither before it bears fruit. Some words are coated in charm but carry the venom of control. They say, I'm the only one who really cares about you, not out of love, but to isolate you from real support. Be careful when someone tries to separate you from your source of strength, from your family, from your peace. That is not loyalty, it's spiritual imprisonment. But whom God has set free, let no manipulator chain again. Your soul belongs to God, and your freedom is sacred. You are not meant to be enslaved by emotional blackmail. You are meant to walk boldly in truth, covered by the presence of the Almighty. And beware of the ones who constantly say, trust me, while their actions scream betrayal. God does not demand blind trust. God earns it through faithfulness. If someone must constantly demand your trust, examine why. Evil people wear trust as a cloak, but hide their intentions underneath it. Trust is not built on words, it is built on consistency, on truth, on integrity. When someone shows you who they are, believe it, not just with your eyes, but with your spirit. Because God gives you eyes that see beyond appearance, ears that hear beyond flattery, and a heart that discerns beyond emotion. Evil people always seek to rewrite the past. They say things like, "That's not how it happened," even when your memory burns with clarity. They try to redefine your experiences, reshape your reality, manipulate your mind until you begin to question what you saw, what you felt, what you know. That is not disagreement, that is spiritual warfare. The goal is to dismantle your confidence, to chip away at your truth, to rob you of your voice. But I declare to you, the truth that God revealed to you in silence is stronger than the lies shouted in your face. Hold firm. When God confirms something in your soul, don't let anyone edit it with their deception. And oh, how they love to cloak cruelty in religion. Evil doesn't always speak wickedly. It often sounds holy. It quotes sacred words but lives without reverence. It preaches about light while walking in shadows. It condemns others while excusing its own rot. Evil says things like, "God told me," when in reality it is their own pride speaking. Beware of those who use the name of God to control, to shame, to manipulate. God is not the author of confusion. God is not a weapon to be used against others. The moment someone uses the name of the Almighty to silence your questions, shut down your discernment, or force submission, they are not of God. They are abusing what is holy. And God will not be mocked. Let me say this loud for every wounded soul. Your boundaries are not rebellion. Your silence is not weakness. Your distance is not hate. Sometimes the holiest thing you can do is walk away from the table where evil has been served with a smile. You are not responsible for healing those who keep cutting you. You are not called to be loyal to pain. You are called to be loyal to God, and sometimes that loyalty requires you to disconnect, detach, and protect the anointing that God has placed on your life. Because when you allow toxic voices to stay close, they begin to cloud your calling. Do not allow flattery to make you deaf to discernment. Evil people will tell you, "You're the best I've ever had," right after tearing you down. They praise you just enough to keep you around, then poison your soul when you are vulnerable. This is not love, it's a cycle of control. And when God opens your eyes, you must not close them again. Sometimes the people who praise you the most are the very ones who hope you never rise above them. They do not celebrate your light, they fear it, because your growth exposes their stagnation. Your joy highlights their bitterness, and your faith offends their emptiness. But keep growing, keep glowing, keep rising, because what God is doing in you cannot be stopped by the envy or manipulation of others. Another subtle tactic of evil is comparison. They say others would be grateful for what I've done, as if their harmful behavior is some kind of favor. Evil tries to make you feel ungrateful for wanting peace, disrespectful for wanting clarity, disloyal for seeking truth. But God is not in guilt. God does not motivate with shame. God draws with truth, with conviction, with love, not with manipulation. You are not wrong for wanting respect. You are not difficult for expecting honesty. You are not broken because you refuse to be gaslit. That is not pride, that is clarity. And clarity is a gift from God. When evil is losing its grip, it will always try to rewrite the narrative. It will say, "You've changed. You've become cold." But listen, the truth is, you've become wise. You've stopped responding to chaos. You've started guarding your peace. You've begun listening to God instead of noise. And now those who once controlled you with words are losing access. They are losing control, and they are panicking. But let them panic. Let them rage. Let them call you names, because you are not walking by their approval. You are walking by God's direction. And wherever God leads, peace follows. Let the world misunderstand you. Let people talk. Let the evil ones call you fake, call you arrogant, call you distant. God sees the truth. God knows your motives. And when God justifies you, you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. Their words may bruise, but they cannot break what God has built. Their slander may echo, but it cannot silence the truth. You are not who they say you are. You are who God declares you to be. And when God declares a thing, when God places His stamp on a soul, no mouth in hell or on earth can cancel it. And now, beloved, let me speak directly into the chambers of your soul, the place no one sees, the place only God truly understands. You have survived conversations that left invisible bruises. You've endured the coldness of carefully crafted words meant to undermine, humiliate, and break you down. But hear me clearly. What they spoke against you does not define you. What they said in secret does not override what God has spoken in truth. You are not the sum of their judgments. You are the reflection of what God is refining. And what God is doing in your life is too precious to be polluted by the poison of wicked tongues. Evil speaks not always to correct, but to control. It doesn't always raise its voice. Sometimes it whispers with false concern. It says, I'm only telling you this for your own good, while sowing seeds of doubt into your mind, while chipping away at your confidence, while planting lies about who you are and what you're worth. But God never speaks to destroy your identity. God speaks to reveal your destiny. And when God corrects, it comes with clarity, not confusion. When God rebukes, it is to awaken, not to control. There's a sacred difference. And if you listen closely, your spirit will begin to recognize the voice of the deceiver versus the voice of the defender. You must become a guardian of your ears, a protector of your peace, because not every voice deserves access to your soul. Evil will always try to disguise itself as wisdom. It will come wrapped in experience, in tradition, even in flattery. But you must ask yourself, does this voice bring me closer to God or deeper into confusion? Does this word make me feel convicted or condemned? Is this counsel leading me toward truth or pulling me into silence and shame? God is not the author of chaos. When something feels off, when words feel twisted, when conversations leave you unsettled, stop ignoring that feeling. That is the warning of God. That is discernment at work. Do not override it. Honor it. Evil people are experts in selective memory. They forget their wrongs and magnify yours. They say, I never said that when they said it 10 times. They rewrite history to protect their image, not to bring healing. But truth doesn't need a cover story. Truth doesn't require revision. And truth will always stand, even when it's buried beneath the weight of slander. God will uncover it. God will defend it. God will resurrect the integrity that others tried to assassinate. Do not spend your energy arguing with those committed to misunderstanding you. Their words are not your prison. Let God speak on your behalf. And you must understand something deeper now. Sometimes silence is more powerful than speaking. Not all battles are yours to fight. Evil will provoke, it will push, it will bait you into reaction. But you must remember that your silence, when anchored in God, is not weakness, it is wisdom. Let them speak, let them twist, let them shout, but keep your spirit grounded. God is not moved by noise. God is moved by obedience. And when you choose peace over pettiness, when you choose silence over chaos, when you walk away rather than strike back, you are not losing, you are winning in the unseen realm. You are preserving your soul. Evil also has a pattern. It doesn't just speak with manipulation, it cycles through stages. It begins with charm, moves into control, escalates into chaos, and then returns with remorse, just enough to trap you again. They say, I've changed, but you know the change is shallow. They say things will be different, but the fruit says otherwise. You must stop giving unlimited chances to those who show no evidence of transformation. God is merciful, yes, but God is also wise. And if God is teaching you to guard your peace, don't confuse that lesson with guilt. Sometimes protecting what God gave you means closing the door that evil keeps trying to open. And listen to this truth. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not broken beyond repair. Evil people will always make you feel like you're the problem because their comfort depends on your silence. But your value does not come from how easy you are to tolerate. It comes from who formed you. God formed you with intention. God molded your soul with purpose. You are not defective because you demand respect. You are not selfish because you seek peace. You are not arrogant because you finally stood up for yourself. That is growth. That is healing. That is obedience to the divine call to protect what is sacred. Stop apologizing for the distance God is calling you to. Stop explaining why you no longer engage in the same toxic cycles. Stop justifying why you've chosen peace over performance. God is doing something in you that others will not understand, and that's okay. Because this isn't about being understood, it's about being aligned. Aligned with truth, aligned with purpose, aligned with God. Let them talk, let them mock, let them mislabel you. Their opinions are temporary. God's hand on your life is eternal. And if you've ever doubted your worth because of how someone spoke to you, let that doubt be shattered right now. Their words were not truth. Their insults were not revelation. Their opinions were not prophecy. You are not who they said you were in anger. You are who God designed you to be in love. No insult, no betrayal, no manipulation can erase what God has already written. Their voice does not override the voice of God. And the voice of God says, you are chosen, you are protected, you are rising, you are favored, not because of them, but in spite of them. This is the season of clarity. The fog is lifting, the manipulation is breaking, the guilt is dissolving, and what remains is a person fully submitted to the will of God, strong, whole, focused, filled with peace that evil can no longer touch. You may have been the target of lies, but now you are the carrier of light. You may have been labeled by people, but you are defined by God. And when God defines you, there is no label that can stick. Let evil keep talking. Let deception keep performing. But you stay rooted, stay planted, stay firm in the truth of God. The voices may try to echo in your mind, but God's whisper is louder than all of them, and His whisper speaks life. It speaks freedom. It speaks restoration. It speaks victory. That is the voice you follow now. That is the voice that leads you out of confusion and into calling. That is the voice that silences every lie. You're not the same person who once tolerated disrespect. You're not the same soul that once bowed to manipulation. You are becoming who God always knew you could be, undistracted, unshaken, undivided. And though the words of evil may still come, you will no longer receive them. You will no longer absorb them. You will let them fall to the ground, untouched by your spirit, because your spirit is now under divine protection. This is your time to stand tall, to walk away from every voice that made you question your sanity, to silence every lie with your obedience, to rise above every rumor with your peace, because peace is the loudest proof that God is with you. And when God is with you, even the most skillful words of evil lose their power. They may speak, but their speech cannot stop what God has begun. The work in you will not be undone. The truth in you will not be buried. The light in you will not be dimmed. You are rising now, not with bitterness, but with boldness. Not with revenge, but with revelation. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove God right. The voices of evil may echo, but they do not endure. Only God's voice remains. Only God's truth stands, and you, chosen soul, are now walking in that truth, unshaken, unafraid, and unwavering. And now, listen with spiritual ears, because this moment is sacred. What you are hearing is not just a collection of words, it is a divine awakening, a call from God, echoing into the depths of your spirit, reminding you that you were never created to live under the shadow of deceitful voices. You were not born to be controlled by cunning words and spiritual manipulation. God did not breathe life into you so that you would live in the prison of someone else's lies. You are chosen. You are called. And when you are called by God, no voice of evil can override your destiny. The world is loud with deception, false humility, empty promises, words dressed in elegance but soaked in wickedness. And evil doesn't just try to destroy you, it tries to redefine you. It will look you in the eye and say, "You've changed," trying to make you feel guilty for growing. But growth in God is not betrayal, growth is obedience. When you begin to move in truth, those who are comfortable in falsehood will always accuse you. But let them accuse, because growth always threatens the ones who refuse to evolve. And evil is always intimidated by the spirit that God is strengthening. You must know the difference between peace and passivity. Evil will tell you, if you really wanted peace, you wouldn't have spoken up. But peace without truth is not peace. It is silence chained by fear. And God does not bless what you pretend not to see. When your spirit stirs at something, when your heart aches at the sound of injustice, when your soul trembles in the face of hypocrisy, that is not you being emotional. That is the Spirit of God alerting you, pay attention, because evil thrives where silence lives. But when you begin to speak, when you begin to walk in truth, when you no longer tolerate false peace, that is when chains begin to break. There will be those who say, "You're difficult," simply because you refuse to be deceived. They want you compliant, quiet, agreeable, because your questions threaten their comfort. But God is not calling you to be liked. God is calling you to be aligned. And sometimes alignment with God puts you in opposition with those who operate in hidden agendas. Be okay with that. You are not called to sit at every table. You are called to sit at the feet of truth. And when truth becomes your foundation, the counterfeit becomes obvious. Evil people are obsessed with appearances. They will say, "You're ruining my reputation," when you confront them with truth. But hear me. Reputation is what people think about you. Integrity is who you really are before God. And when you walk in truth, your integrity becomes your armor. Let them defend their image. You protect your soul. Because God is not looking at what's posted, God is looking at what's hidden. And God will honor those who walk in quiet righteousness, even when they are slandered by the loud voices of false. You must come to the place where you no longer need an apology to heal. You no longer wait for closure to move forward, because some voices will never admit their wrongs. Some lips will never speak truth. but you don't need their permission to be free. God is your healer, and when God heals, He doesn't just patch the wound. He removes the infection. He restores your spirit. He revives your confidence. He replaces the lies you believed with unshakable clarity. You don't need them to admit it. You just need to release it, and when you do, the chains fall, not just around you, but within you. There's a holy strength rising in you now, a power that no manipulation can hold back. You're not the same person who cried yourself to sleep over the words of someone who never honored your worth. You're not the same soul who questioned your value because of the silence of someone you supported. You are becoming fireproof, not because you never entered the fire, but because God is refining you in it. And every word that once wounded you is now being used to sharpen your discernment. God is turning the curse into clarity. And while evil speaks from the tongue, God speaks to the soul. That's why His voice is different. It's not loud, but it's weighty. It doesn't flatter, but it transforms. It doesn't manipulate, it liberates. And the more you walk with God, the more you begin to recognize the counterfeit. The more you dwell in His presence, the less impressed you are by the polished words of deception. Because now your spirit is calibrated. Your discernment is sharpened. You don't just listen with ears, you listen with wisdom. And wisdom does not fall for charm. Wisdom listens for fruit. You no longer need everyone to understand you because God understands. You no longer need to explain why you distanced yourself because God knows. And when God knows, you can rest, you can release, you can move forward. There is a power that comes when you let go of defending yourself and allow God to defend you. Because when God defends, He does it with precision. He does it in timing that humbles the proud and honors the faithful. You may have cried quietly, but your tears reached heaven. And God remembers. God repays. God restores. Let evil say what it wants. Let those who are lined with darkness mock your silence, question your peace, misinterpret your growth. They are not your judges, God is. And God weighs the heart, not the performance, not the show, not the speech, but the heart. And when your heart is right with God, nothing formed against you can stand. No slander, no lie, no manipulation can destroy what God is building in you. God is building in you resilience, spiritual resilience that cannot be shaken by the noise of this world. You've been through fire, but the fire did not consume you. It refined you. It removed the fear, the guilt, the people-pleasing, the naivety. Now you walk differently. You listen carefully. You move prayerfully. And because of that, evil cannot trap you the way it once did. You're no longer in the place where pretty words can blind you. Now you test the spirit. Now you measure the fruit. Now you ask, does this word pull me closer to God or deeper into confusion? And that question alone is your safeguard. That is your shield. That is your sword. You are armed with truth, and truth always outlasts the lie. So keep walking, keep rising, keep praying. Let them speak, but let God guide. Let them twist, but let God correct. Let them scheme, but let God protect. Because when God is your anchor, no storm can uproot you. When God is your foundation, no voice can shake you. And when God is your source, you will never again be dependent on people for validation. This is your moment of spiritual maturity. This is your divine turning point. You no longer exist to be molded by human hands. You are being shaped by the hand of God. You no longer need their approval. You have God's presence. And that, my beloved, is more than enough. The voice of evil may still whisper, but the roar of truth has already been awakened in you, and once truth takes root in your soul, no lie can survive. Let your soul absorb this truth. When the voice of evil rises, it's not because you are weak, it's because you are rising. It's because you are becoming dangerous to the darkness. The enemy does not target what poses no threat. You are not under attack because you are broken. You are under attack because you are being built by God. And as God builds, He also exposes. He tears down every illusion, every false alliance, every word spoken in secrecy that carried the intent to wound. But now, in this sacred moment, God is giving you eyes to see, ears to hear, and a spirit to discern not just what is said, but what is hidden behind the words. Evil always wraps itself in false light. It doesn't come covered in filth, it comes clothed in imitation goodness. It says things like, "I'm just trying to help," when its real motive is control. It says, "You're the problem," when its actions are rooted in pride. It plays victim when exposed. It shouts righteousness while practicing dishonor. But God cannot be mocked. God weighs the thoughts, not just the speech. And when the thoughts are rooted in envy, pride, bitterness, or arrogance, no holy-sounding words can hide them. God sees past the surface. God judges from the inside out. You must learn this: not all that glitters is gold, and not every kind word comes from a kind heart. Some of the most dangerous words are spoken in soft tones, wrapped in compliments, but laced with spiritual poison. And God is showing you how to recognize it, because what you tolerate in speech becomes what you absorb in spirit. And when your soul absorbs toxic words long enough, your identity begins to bend under the weight of deception. But today, God is straightening your spirit again. No more shrinking to fit their narrative. No more adjusting your value to match their manipulation. No more bowing to voices that contradict what God has declared over you. Let me speak plainly now. When evil wants to disarm you, it attacks your clarity. It wants you second-guessing what you know, doubting what you saw, questioning your own memories. That's why it repeats the same phrases, gaslights with the same lines, cloaks itself in confusion. But confusion is not from God. When something feels foggy, when words twist the truth, when you leave conversations feeling smaller, guiltier, more unsure, that is not correction. That is corrosion. And God is pulling you out of it. Because your clarity is not pride. Your boundaries are not rebellion. They are the guardrails God gave you to protect your purpose. Listen closely. Evil will often say, "You're the only one who sees it this way," to make you feel isolated. But sometimes, being the only one who sees the truth is the evidence that God has set you apart. Don't let the majority silence your revelation. God doesn't speak truth based on popularity. God speaks truth based on purity. And if your heart is aligned with God, even if you stand alone, you are never abandoned. The crowd may choose comfort. The masses may choose silence. But God calls His people to stand, to speak, and to separate themselves from what is false, even if it costs relationships, reputation, or routine. Some of the most dangerous evil is not the kind that attacks you outright. It's the kind that attaches itself to you. It says, "We're in this together," but slowly siphons your strength. It drains your focus. It distracts you with drama. It keeps you entangled in emotional webs that pull you away from the stillness of God. But God is jealous for your attention. And anything that steals your attention from God must be evaluated, no matter how close it stands, no matter how long it's been with you, no matter how good it sounds. Because when your time, your energy, your peace, are constantly being traded for chaos, you are not walking in divine order. You are being spiritually robbed. Hear this now with trembling reverence. Not every connection is a covenant. Some people were sent to test your discernment, not to stay in your circle. And when evil keeps returning to your life, through familiar voices, through second chances, through emotional manipulation dressed as remorse, it is not a test of your kindness. It is a test of your obedience. God is not measuring how much pain you can endure. God is watching how long it takes before you obey the voice that says, enough. Some doors must close not because of bitterness, but because of obedience. And when God says to walk away, every step you take becomes an act of worship. Let this settle in your heart. You are not weak for letting go of what continually wounds you. You are not ungodly for refusing to tolerate voices that mock your calling. You are not cold for no longer explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Growth in God often looks like separation from everything that tries to bind you in cycles of doubt, guilt, and confusion. And what looks like a loss in the eyes of man is often a divine liberation in the eyes of God. And be not deceived, evil will always try to return under a new disguise. It may say, I've changed, but the fruit reveals the root. Don't be distracted by speeches. Look for evidence. Where there is no humility, there is no repentance. Where there is no change, there's only a cycle. And cycles are broken not with apologies, but with action. God is calling you to see beyond what is said and discern what is sown. What are they planting into your life? Doubt, drama, fear, or peace, growth, and truth? Because what you allow to be planted will grow, and you cannot afford to let evil take root in the garden God gave you to protect. There comes a point in your walk with God where peace becomes your priority, not because you're avoiding people, but because you're protecting your purpose. And sometimes protecting your purpose means walking away from those who use their words to bind you in guilt while pretending to care. Let them call it pride. Let them say you've changed. Let them say you've become distant. You owe no one an apology for preserving the calling that God has placed on your life. Because what God has entrusted to you is holy, and not everyone deserves access to what is holy. So listen and take heart. Evil will continue to speak. It will continue to cloak itself in charm, but the louder it speaks, the more quiet you must become in the presence of God. Because in stillness, God speaks. And when God speaks, the false voices fade. You will know what to do, you will know what to say, you will know who to release, because the voice of God is never rushed, never chaotic, never condemning. It is firm but full of peace, and when you follow it, even if the road is lonely, your spirit will know rest. You are walking into a season where clarity will cost you, but it will also crown you. God is not just removing evil people, He is restoring the real you. The you that no longer bends to deceit, the you that walks upright, with vision, with conviction, with quiet power, the you that no longer absorbs every insult as identity, the you that speaks only when led, loves only from purity, and listens only for truth. You are not who they said you were. You are who God is shaping you to become. And nothing they say, no matter how loud, no matter how convincing, can reverse what God has already set in motion. Connect you from God. They do not encourage prayer. They do not value discipline. They laugh at your desire to remain righteous. They make you feel foolish for trying to live a life that pleases God. When you talk about your goals, your faith, your struggles, they dismiss you or twist your thoughts. They don't push you toward purity, they pull you into pollution. Slowly, quietly, they numb your sensitivity to sin. What once made you weep in repentance now doesn't even trouble your conscience. That is not from God, my friend. That is a signal from the pit of darkness. Anyone who dulls your spiritual fire is not sent to help you, they are sent to extinguish you. And you'll notice something else. They are always surrounded by confusion and chaos. Wherever they go, drama follows, arguments erupts, peace disappears, doubt creeps in. Why? Because confusion is the devil's language. God is a God of order, clarity, and peace. But when someone enters your life and suddenly nothing feels right, you can't pray the same, you can't think straight, your sleep is disturbed, your joy is stolen, watch that person. God warns us not just through dreams or signs, but through the very atmosphere that surrounds us. Peace is one of the highest forms of God's approval. When your peace is constantly under attack around someone, your soul is trying to scream what your mind refuses to see. This person is not from God. Another sign is manipulation. The devil is subtle. He works through control. People sent by him are often charming at first, even generous, loving, and full of concern. But over time, you begin to feel small around them. You begin to question yourself. They twist your words. They guilt you into decisions. They make you feel as if you're always wrong and they're always right. They are not guiding you, they are binding you. You begin to fear their reaction, hide your dreams, and suppress your God-given identity. That's not love. That's not support. That's spiritual entrapment. And if you don't break free, they will drag you far from the voice of God until you can no longer hear His whisper in your heart. People sent by the devil will always appeal to your weaknesses. If it's lust, they'll seduce. If it's pride, they'll flatter. If it's greed, they'll tempt. If it's loneliness, they'll fill the space temporarily but leave you more broken than before. The devil studies you. He knows your patterns. He knows what triggers you. And he will package his trap in the very form that looks like an answer to prayer. That's why you must pray not only for blessings, but for discernment. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not every open door is from God. Some doors are painted with deception, leading straight into destruction. And the people who walk through them with you are not always companions, they are carriers of spiritual infection. Here's another mark you must watch for: those who try to isolate you. People sent by the devil will seek to remove you from wise voices. They don't like accountability. They despise spiritual authority. They whisper things like, "Don't tell anyone," or "They just don't understand you like I do." They create division between you and your God-fearing friends. They convince you that you're better off alone or only with them. That is how wolves devour the sheep, by separating them from the flock. If someone is pulling you away from your community of faith, from those who truly want what's best for your soul, they are not acting under the influence of God. They are aligning with the agenda of the enemy. People sent by the devil are often impatient and impulsive. They don't like to wait on God. They rush you. They pressure you. They make you feel as if something terrible will happen if you don't act quickly. But let me tell you, urgency without peace is a trap. God leads, the devil pushes. There is a difference. When decisions are being made through fear, pressure, or emotional manipulation, step back. That spirit is not from God. You were not created to be driven by fear. You were created to walk with purpose, with clarity, and with the confidence that comes from God's guidance. Anyone who constantly pushes you into fear-based decisions is not aligning with the spirit of truth. They are moving in the spirit of deception. And perhaps the most dangerous sign of all, they do not fear God. They may speak of God casually. They may even use spiritual language, but there is no reverence in their heart. no trembling at the thought of sin, no repentance, no humility. Their actions are loud, but their spirit is dead. And if you stay around them long enough, you begin to adopt their casual approach to the sacred. You stop weeping over sin. You stop yearning for purity. Your conscience becomes dull. That's how the enemy works. He doesn't just want to corrupt your actions. He wants to corrode your soul. He wants you to lose your sensitivity to God. And he often uses people to do it. If you see someone mocking righteousness, belittling your values, scoffing at prayer or obedience, flee. That spirit is dangerous. That person is not your assignment. They are your distraction. My friend, you are not weak, you are not gullible, you are not alone. God has given you the ability to discern, to sense, to test the spirit behind every relationship, every interaction, every opportunity. Stop ignoring the warnings. Stop silencing your inner alarm. When God shows you who someone is, believe Him. Do not try to fix what He's trying to remove. Do not beg to keep what He's warning you about. You must protect your soul like you would protect your life, because your soul is eternal, and what you allow into your life affects your eternity. And if you've already let someone in who carries these signs, don't panic. Don't fall into despair. God is merciful. He gives us wisdom, not to shame us, but to save us. You can walk away. You can reclaim your peace. You can rebuild your altar. You can restore your relationship with God. But you must act. You must choose. You must decide that your destiny is more important than their approval, that your purpose is worth more than temporary companionship, that your soul's connection to God is worth protecting with everything you have. You are not called to tolerate demonic influence wrapped in human form. You are called to walk in power, in authority, in freedom, and that means letting go of what was sent to destroy you. Let God cleanse your circle. Let Him purify your environment. Let Him expose every shadow hiding behind a smile. And when He shows you the truth, don't run from it. Stand on it. Because truth will cost you something, but lies will cost you everything. Let God be the center of your discernment. Let peace be your compass. Let wisdom be your weapon. And if someone in your life bears the fruit of darkness, do not eat from that tree. Separate yourself. Pray for them, yes, but do not let your soul be tied to what was sent to destroy it. You are God's child. You are His vessel. And no demon in disguise has the right to pollute what God is trying to purify. Stay alert, stay prayerful, stay strong, for this battle is not one we fight with fists or words, but with truth, with discipline, and with unwavering devotion to the one who watches over us day and night. The devil is cunning, but he is not greater than God, and with God's guidance you will see clearly, you will choose wisely, and you will walk in the freedom that only comes from standing in the light. And hear me now, beloved, when someone is sent by the devil, their assignment is not always obvious at first. That is why you must be spiritually awake. The most dangerous enemy is the one you welcome as a friend. The devil does not need to barge into your life with thunder and lightning. All he needs is an invitation, a crack in your discernment, a moment of emotional weakness, and he will slide in through a smile, through a handshake, through a voice that sounds sweet but speaks poison. He is subtle. He is cunning. He imitates light. But if you anchor yourself in God, if you remain deeply rooted in spiritual truth, you will see through the disguise. Let me tell you something that will awaken your heart. People sent by the devil often mirror your desires, not your destiny. They come dressed as what you want, but are empty of what you need. They echo your loneliness. They mirror your pain. They tap into your longing, but they don't carry your anointing. God never sends someone into your life to take you backward. He doesn't send people to waste your time, drain your spirit, or confuse your path. When someone causes you to delay obedience, ignore conviction, or sacrifice your standards for their comfort, they are not from God. That is not a divine connection. That is a demonic distraction. And sometimes their assignment isn't just to harm you. They are sent to contaminate everything you're building: your peace, your reputation, your ministry, your family. The devil isn't threatened by your past. He's terrified of your future. And so he sends people not to stop you in one blow, but to slowly erode your strength, to discourage you day by day, to stir divisions subtly, to challenge your confidence with every conversation. This is spiritual warfare in its most deceptive form, friendly fire. But God, in His mercy, will expose every masked threat if you ask Him to. He will whisper in your spirit. He will trouble your sleep. He will allow discomfort not to punish you, but to wake you up. Have you ever felt a heavy uneasiness around someone and couldn't explain why? Have you ever seen your spiritual habits fall apart the moment someone entered your life? Have you ever looked back and realized that you were more prayerful, more joyful, more clear-minded before they came? That's not coincidence. That's God waving a red flag. That's a holy warning. Don't you ignore those inner alarms. That's not just emotion, that's spiritual perception. And if you silence it, you may invite in someone who will wreck everything God has built inside you. Let me say this with love, but with boldness. Your heart is not a playground. Your soul is not a battlefield for the devil's entertainment. You have been called. You have been marked. You are walking under divine assignment, and anything or anyone that tries to derail that path must be evaluated in the light of God's truth. This is not the hour to be passive. This is not the time to be spiritually blind. You must be ruthless with anything that wages war against your relationship with God. And sometimes it is not a stranger sent by the devil. Sometimes it's someone you've known for years, someone who used to speak life but now only breeds doubt, someone who once stood beside you in prayer but now plants seeds of rebellion in your spirit. The shift may be gradual, but it's real. And if you're too sentimental to separate, the enemy will use that emotional bond as a leash to pull you out of alignment with God. You must love people, yes, but you must love God more. You must honor relationships, yes, but you must protect your spirit above all. If the cost of keeping someone in your life is the slow death of your spiritual fire, the price is too high. Hear me, not everyone who walks with you is walking for you, and not everyone who leaves you is a loss. Sometimes separation is protection. Sometimes betrayal is the blessing. Sometimes rejection is redirection. God will allow people to walk away not to punish you, but to purify your path, and when He does, do not chase what He has released. Do not beg for what He has removed. When you cling to someone God is trying to cut off, you're not walking in faith, you're walking in rebellion. Obedience is better than comfort, and separation is not always a sign of failure. It may be the very strategy God is using to save your life. Now let me speak directly to your spirit. There is a call on your life that the devil cannot cancel, but he will do everything to delay. And people are his most common weapon. The wrong voice can drown out the whisper of God. The wrong friend can extinguish the fire of prayer. The wrong connection can bind you in chains of distraction. That is why you must guard your gates. Watch what you hear. Watch who you trust. Test the spirit behind every word, every compliment, every invitation. Not all favor comes from God. Not every opportunity is divine. Sometimes the enemy opens a door to get you to step out of alignment. But when you walk with God, He will make it clear. He will not leave you in the dark. And let me warn you, if you ignore the signs, if you choose comfort over conviction, the consequences are not small. The wrong person can detour years of purpose. The wrong companion can wreck your mental health. The wrong confidant can assassinate your peace. And the longer you stay entangled, the deeper the roots grow. But there is hope. God is merciful. He is not looking to condemn you. He wants to cleanse you. He wants to sharpen your discernment. He wants to break the soul ties that were never meant to be formed. He wants to heal you from every toxic connection and fill you with the boldness to walk away. And you must walk away. You must be brave enough to confront the truth and strong enough to act on it. You can't just pray and stay. You can't just hope things change while you remain in the same poisonous environment. Faith without action is empty. Prayer without obedience is powerless. God has already given you the signs. Now you must move. You must let go. You must detox your life from everything and everyone that is pulling you down spiritually. And if they come back, if they return with the same sweet words, the same false humility, the same tactics that once deceived you, look again, test again, pray again. Do not be fooled by tears. Do not be swayed by nostalgia. If the fruit has not changed, the tree is still the same. The devil knows how to repackage the same trap in a new wrapper. But your eyes have been opened, your spirit has been awakened, and this time you will not fall. You have authority. You have power, not because of who you are, but because of who your God is. You are not defenseless. You are not helpless. You have discernment. You have clarity. You have the strength to walk away. God has equipped you to recognize the schemes of the enemy and to resist them. And when you do, when you sever those ties, when you break those demonic chains, you will feel peace will return. Clarity will flood in, your spirit will rise again, and your connection with God will be stronger than ever before. Now, dear soul, as the fire of truth begins to burn deeper into your heart, I urge you to reflect on this. When someone is sent by the devil, their influence will always lead you away from the remembrance of God. It won't be obvious at first. They won't tell you to abandon your prayers or forsake your values directly. No, their method is far more dangerous. They distract. They cloud your priorities. They make you too tired, too busy, too emotionally drained to turn to God. Before you know it, your routine of worship becomes irregular. Your heart no longer trembles at the thought of wrongdoing. And worst of all, you begin to justify what you once knew was wrong. This is not a coincidence, it is a spiritual strategy. When the heart forgets God, darkness takes its seat. The devil knows that he cannot destroy the one who walks closely with God, so instead he tries to distance you inch by inch from your sustainer. He doesn't rush. He works through whispers, comfort, and emotional confusion. He sends people into your life who seem harmless, even helpful, but whose presence begins to dilute your discipline. These are not companions, they are saboteurs. Their assignment is not to build with you, but to build trust with you so they can break what God is shaping in you, and if you do not detect it, they will slowly unravel the spiritual fabric of your life. Let me speak plainly and without hesitation. If you find that someone's presence in your life causes you to tolerate more sin, speak less about God, pray with less conviction, or compromise your inner sense of right and wrong, then that person is not from God. God will never send someone into your life who makes you question your standards or suppress your conscience. Anyone who softens your stand on what you know is sacred is operating under a spirit that opposes God's will for you. You must not entertain such spirits, no matter how familiar they seem.